When it seems like Man United are down in the dumps, negativity all around, sometimes it only takes one to change the entire landscape of Manchester United. What's up, everybody? It's the Sports Code, aka Aiden. Welcome back to another video. This video is going to be about the impact that Bruno Fernandes has made since joining Manchester United. Big things have been happening since he signed. I know that we're currently waiting for football to come back, but it's still extremely hard to forget how impactful he's been. So for anybody, if you're new around here, please like and subscribe. Also like and subscribe if you think Bruno Fernandes has made a massive difference to Manchester United, as a lot of people would have obviously thought of. It's incredible the impact he's made, but also how humble he has been in making these changes. He speaks a lot of the truth, Bruno Fernandes, and he's definitely a character. So let's get straight into it. Before I want to talk about the initial signing of Bruno Fernandes, we obviously have to talk about how Manchester United were without Bruno Fernandes. So in the summer, when we were linked to him and we didn't get him, we had to go with what we had. We had to go with Andreas Pereira. We had to go with Jesse Lingard, Juan Mata, Fred, and all the other midfielders, McTominay and Pogba, all these other midfielders. And for the most part, we all knew the expectations of these players, but some of them have really underachieved. I did not think in the entire landscape of Manchester United did we not have one sort of attacking midfielder that can actually create an impact on a game-to-game basis. And I know that we do have a lot of attacking midfielders, but none of them seem to be good enough at times, and they're all for different reasons as well. Let's look at first we'll look at Andreas Pereira. Andreas Pereira is a player that is often a lot of fans at the time really liked and wanted to give more game time to. However, this season has kind of ruined his confidence, as well as given him a question of whether he's good enough for Manchester United. We've seen him on loan to the teams in Spain, and we've seen him do fairly well. However, it's just not clicked with him with Manchester United. I think him, out of majority of the attacking midfielders, is the one that I would say we could still give him an opportunity off the bench. However, I think time's ticking on his career, just like majority of the others, and it's sad because I think a lot of people really liked Andreas Pereira, and I still think there's a good player there. However, I think it's time for something different for him. Maybe mentally he's gone through a lot, which he's publicly spoken about, and that's something that we need to consider as well. Maybe mentally he just isn't up to the speed of other players, and either we get him the help he needs, or maybe the help he needs is something different. We'll see what happens with that. We also had Jesse Lingard. Jesse Lingard, I think last season he had a fairly average season at best, and then this season he's kind of gone on a downhill spiral. Again, another player that has been receiving mental abuse by individuals, and also has unprecedented events where the passing of his mother, or the sickness of his mother and everything. It is a sad time. It is still a sad period for Jesse Lingard, and I think his performances reflect that. I feel like a lot of Jesse Lingard's form is also based on Ollie picking him at a time where he probably needed some time off, and at the end of the day, fans are going to be fans. They're gonna pick and choose whatever they feel about players, and a lot of fans do not rate Jesse Lingard, and therefore they give him the abuse that he gets. Maybe it's not deserved, but it still happens, and it's not the best thing to see. It's not the best thing to hear, but Jesse Lingard is the type of player that he will have to accept it now, wouldn't he? Because he's not going to change who he is he? So yeah. Anyway, just about the football part, Jesse Lingard has had an underwhelming season this season. I don't think he's been been completely trash. I don't think he's at that level, but I definitely think he's had a very underwhelming season by a lot of fans and player standards, and that's another thing where he could potentially leave as well. We also have Juan Mata. Juan Mata is arguably the best attacking midfielder at the time that we had. However, in the Premier League, he just seems to be not up to the pace of the Premier League that he once used to be, and things that usually would come so easily to him ended up becoming a little bit more difficult, which resulted in bad performances, bad results, and ending up being a lot of players not necessarily turning on him, but finally accepting that maybe it's just not his time anymore. And I think a lot of people started to realize this last season, but this season it's kind of kicked up a bit. Now, to be fair to Juan Mata, since in cup competitions and especially against certain teams, he's been able to thrive. With teams like Norwich and in the Europa League, the Carabao Cup, he's had some good performances this season. We cannot completely regard those performances. And in the Premier League against the smaller teams, he's definitely a player that we can play and would make a massive impact. And that's what a good squad rotation needs. We need an impact player, and he could definitely be that. So I don't want to disregard Juan Mata from the Man United team just yet. I still think he has a lot to give in terms of coming off the bench and impacting a team that way. But we'll see how it goes. We've given him a new contract, so we're not going to, at least not going to get rid of him for another year. So we'll see how that goes. And finally, we have Angel Gomez. Now, Angel Gomez arguably was the most exciting prospect that we've had in the youth academy. However, he's just not been given any chances by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer whatsoever. And it's baffling to me because you have a player that's on the verge of leaving and you don't give him one opportunity to prove why he should stay, why Manchester United should give him a better contract, why his future, if you're going to try and convince someone that their future's at Manchester United, then you need to play them in some games, whether it's in the Europa League, the Carabao, well, not the FA Cup, or even in the lower side Premier League games. He's not going to be the main reason why we lose a game. So you have to really consider things like this if you're trying to determine a future. For Angel Gomez, I don't see how Manchester United have done any sort of willingness to prove that his future's at Manchester United. And that's the sad part. And with Angel Gomez, it is sad. And he hasn't been given game time. And even till now, when football comes back, we would all want him to be given a chance. Because Bruno Fernandes is not necessarily a cam. He could play in any midfield position, really. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. Maybe Angel Gomez changes his mind. He signs. He ends up being a fantastic player for us, like we all wish and know he can be. And it's just not a good sight to see. So those are the attacking midfielders that we had. And they've all underperformed in certain ways, and not all of them have been given a chance. But we all knew that we needed a lot more if we were to make an impact in the league. If we looked at the performances from then compared to now with Bruno Fernandes, the performances, to be honest, they are different, but not as different as you'd think. Now, attacking wise, the only difference is we didn't have that killer pass. I feel like if we dominated the ball a lot, and we still dominate the ball a lot, especially against smaller teams. And the difference was we didn't have that one player that can find the pass, that one player that can take a risk. And I think that's the difference now. However, there's also a difference in players' attitudes. So with the attitude without Bruno Fernandes, a lot of players didn't really make runs unless it was a counter-attack. There was no forward runs being made. A lot of people came to the ball instead of making runs for the ball. And it ended up being a very slow, lethargical, maybe one or two opportunities per game type of situation. With Bruno Fernandes in the team, players are making runs left, right, and centre. As soon as Bruno gets the ball, or even sometimes before he gets the ball, you have Daniel James making runs. You have Luke Shaw overlapping. You have Martial making a run. And it's only going to get better when we have all of our players back, like Marcus Rashford. For the guy that loves to make a run, Marcus Rashford, he would make Bruno a star just as much as Rashford would become a star with Bruno. It's a team effort here. And that's the impact he's made just by being there, not necessarily having the greatest of games. I have to be honest. Bruno Fernandes, since coming in, he's had good games, but he hasn't been at his best, and he hasn't been that major key player that's man of the match in every performance. But he's done something mentally to those players that we haven't seen in a while. These players are attacking. These players are making runs. We've seen Daniel James flourish with Bruno Fernandes in the team. Martial has scored a lot more goals, or given a lot more opportunities at goal with Bruno Fernandes. And Bruno Fernandes himself has created so many opportunities for himself and for others. And this is what we expect from Bruno Fernandes. He gets goals and he gets assists, and he's done exactly what he's been brought to do from Sporting to Manchester United. He's made a hell of an impact. And we can't disregard the facts that he's won 2 in Premier League Player of the Months in a row. That's something where it's such an honour to have something like that happen to your team. A signing comes in and he takes he grabs that team and he makes it his own, and he ends up becoming Player of the Month twice. That's I wouldn't say it's unheard of, but it's definitely a good sign in the right direction towards what Manchester United can be in the future and what they are now, and how new signings with Bruno can ultimately benefit. Now we're signing the right kind of players, and then eventually we're going to get those star players that either developed or that we buy because they want to come here, and that's ultimately the goal. And Ollie says it all the time. The future starts at we're building for the future, but sometimes the future has to be built now. We can't, as much as we sign 21-year-olds and 19-year-olds, and we're linked to a 16-year-old in Bellingham. We're so dedicated to that sort of market. There's also a market within the 25-year-olds and the 26-year-olds that are ready to make a big step and push this team as far as they can now. So in the future that we're signing for, when they get to their 25s, they're all ready to push the team and push the club as far as it can go. This is what the future is. The future starts now. It doesn't start in 2 years. It doesn't start next year. It starts now. And that's what I really like about this signing the most. It's not necessarily how he's changed the team on the ball. It's changed the structure of the team. It's changed the way that players think. It's changed the mentality of fans, and it's changed the mentality of Manchester United itself. We need more players like this. And Harry Maguire is another example as well. We need more players like this that are ready now to make an impact, because Ollie says it all the time. It's a result-based game. We need results now as much as we need them in a year's time. And that's why we have to build this team for now just as much as the future. So I like the way Manchester United are heading in terms of their signings. Yes, they don't spend enough money. Yes, that they always seem to back out if the deal's not right for them, and they're not willing to take as much risks unless the fans get on their back like they did with Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes probably wouldn't have come here if Manchester United fans weren't chanting for the Glazers to leave, weren't chanting for Ed Woodward to be sacked. And that at the end of the day, I think that's what pushed them to make a Bruno Fernandes signing. What could happen now if they have that mentality of we don't want that to happen again. We don't want our fans to turn on us like that again. Can they bring in a Sancho because of that? Can they bring in a Lamar, or can they bring in an Ndidi? Can they bring in these types of players that would ultimately make us a better team now and in the future? We'll see what happens. So anyway, that's going to be the end of the video. Bruno Fernandes, basically the sum up of this video is Bruno Fernandes, as good as he is on the ball, he's changed everything outside of the football pitch as well. He's changed everything in terms of the quality that we have, and also the mentality that we have. And it's a beautiful sight to see. I don't believe Bruno Fernandes has been the best player since he's come in. I arguably think Wan-Bissaka and Fred have been better than him. But it's not necessarily how good he is, he's been, but how good of a mentality that he has, that he's willing to change others' mentalities and others' drive to go forward. And sometimes that means more to me than the on-ball turnovers or the bad performances, because yes, turnovers happen. It's all about risk in this game, and you've got to make a risk in order to get a reward. And he takes a lot of risks, and yes, it's turnovers, it results in bad games sometimes, but also it results in all these players having the trust that they can get the ball from him and they can create an opportunity from him. It's a beautiful sight to see. It reminds me a lot of what Pogba could have done in the first year, and it's we've seen something different. I can't wait for those two to play together. Let me know what you guys think. Has Bruno Fernandes made an impact on the field, or is it more than that? Let me know what you guys think. I want to thank you all for watching. Please like, subscribe if you're new. This is the Sports Code. Have a safe day. Take care and peace.